Hey everyone, what's going on? Mike here, or Mtashed, and today we're going to be looking at hand cannons. So we're going to be going into the re-rollable hand cannons first, what the kind of best perks are and which ones are the best to re-roll, and then we're going to look at the non-re-rollable ones, things like Fatebringer, and then we're going to stop off at the exotic hand cannons and talk about those because they are absolutely the best and essentially the best weapons in the game, and it's kind of unavoidable using them at this point, so I'm really going to skim over the topic of the legendary hand cannons because at this point in the meta of this game, there's no real reason to use them. So let's get started. Before I begin reviewing kind of the best perks and things to reroll and all that, please do not comment, hey, what about the chance? Hey, what about this? I know that there's going to be guns that I'm missing. What we're focusing on here is the low impact, medium impact, and high impact guns. There's multiple different variations of these weapons, but what I'm saying applies to all of them. So if it's a legendary and it's in this class, the same thing applies. So let's go, let's look at some perks. If I was to give the top spot to a legendary hand cannon, it would be the Devil You Know. It was from Vanilla Destiny, and overall, it kicks the shit out of pretty much everything out there. It has amazing impact, range, stability, it has a 12 magazine, which is absurd for the stats that it has, and you know, it's closing in on legendary status with the stats it has. The only thing that beats it for the most part in the exotics is actually Hawkmoon. Now, you can't re-roll this thing, so if you got a really good roll, the base one I have here is very good. It's a great weapon, but there are some better perks out there. So if you were to get a Fulcrum or Red Hand 9 in the current patch, you can make a pretty similar gun. Although it'll have slightly worse stats, it'll have better perks kind of thing. So the perks you'd want on it would be either Icarus, Battle Runner, or Zen Moment, just because they are very solid perks. Snapshot and Lightweight are very nice for utility in hand cannons, but the biggest perk of all I find is Outlaw. The reload speed is absolutely essential on a legendary hand cannon if you're using that. There's almost no way around having Outlaw. Devil You Know doesn't even have it, but it's still pretty good. I'll be talking more about Outlaw and stuff like that in the non-rerollable stuff. So one thing people always think about and ask, and they saw Timur's Lash and it looks amazing, is, wow, look at that impact. You know, maybe you could two-hit people. The unfortunate thing about Timur's Lash is 99% of the time it is a 3-hit kill. So with the lower rate of fire and the low stability, it's actually a pretty bad gun. Even if you roll it to get luck in the chamber, it isn't a consistent 2-hit kill. So it leaves a lot to be desired. Something like the Word of Crota, which has a lower impact but a higher rate of fire, is actually a much better weapon. So with that, let's jump into the non-rerollable guns. What's good out there? Are they, a top slot legendary? Let's check. So for PvE, the non-rerollable weapons are hands down the best. There's nothing that beats the non-rollable ones simply because they have an element on them. Fatebringer is Arc, Jewel of Osiris can be any, and Word of Crota is a void weapon. The Jewel as well as the Fatebringer sit in the kind of Devil You Know niche. It's kind of the medium range, medium impact weapons. They're fantastic. They actually both have very good perks on it. Jewel, with the ability to have radar up, and Icarus is, situationally a pretty good perk, and it also has fantastic stability and only a minor hit to the range, and a little bit lower magazine than something like the Devil You Know. Fatebringer is all around a fantastic gun as well, with a very minor hit to the stats, but also a 12 in the magazine, and it also has Outlaw, which is fantastic, gives you that reload speed, and it's a pretty darn good gun. Word of Crota isn't amazing. Zen Moment is pretty average as a perk overall, and it leaves a little bit to be desired, if you will. You might as well go with a Fatebringer if you're going to use something like this. The only nice thing is it does have a higher rate of fire, so technically the time to kill is a bit higher on the Word of Crota, but it's not really worth using. Overall, these cannons are pretty darn good. Overall, I'd probably say in the current patch, and with re-rolling, Fatebringer and Jewel are going to be just as good as anything you can buy and re-roll, so you might as well use one of these if you have it. Don't be spending marks on legendary hand cannons. So now let's look at the exotics and why they're so damn good, what you should pick, and kind of what plays into your style. Now for the exotic hand cannons. We're going to be looking at Thorn, Last Word, and Hawkmoon. Back in the day, Hawkmoon was the gun to go. It was huge. The stats on it were amazing. You could get 2-hit kills with the luck in the chamber and holding aces and everything. It was really, honestly, better than Thorn and Last Word. Thorn needed a buff. Last Word was just meh, not as great. But with the recent, well, I guess it's a couple months ago, but the nerf to the range of hand cannons and as well as the kind of the accuracy of them, Hawkmoon took a massive hit compared to the other two. Hawkmoon, if you spam the shots, you will miss a lot of shots, where Thorn and Last Word, for the most part, you can spam and hit them at any distance you want, at any time you want. So Thorn and Last Word have actually taken the spot for top exotic across everything. If you have an exotic primary hand cannon, you have to use it in this current meta. They play very differently though. Thorn is a long-range sniper. It has fantastic rate of fire, so you can spam 2 shots off really quick, and it is a 2-shot kill to the head. It's a 3-shot kill to the body, and overall is a pretty damn good weapon. It has 9 in the magazine, so if you play it right, you can get kind of 3-4 kills with it in longer engagements, and the burn on it is very good for tracking opponents. In close range, I wouldn't say it's amazing. It does feel a little bit choppy at close ranges, but for sniping people across distance, boom, use that Thorn and love it. As for close range, there is no weapon that outplays Last Word, period. I don't think in any 1v1 situation, if you both start shooting at the same time, anything beats Last Word for time to kill. If you have someone rushing you with a shotgun, you can backpedal with Last Word and hip fire, get bonus damage, and there's actually a bug currently that the bonus damage you get from hip firing applies sometimes when you're aiming down sights, so you can get some really trolly 2-hit kills with it, and it's fantastic. It's like a 3-shot kill, I believe, overall if they're all headshots, and 4 if you have some body shots thrown in, but you can honestly just pull the trigger with this thing and you're going to melt people. Onto the Hawkmoon, unfortunately, it has really fallen to the wayside. It's just outclassed by the other two in many situations. I do love Hawkmoon. It was very dear to me long ago, but I notice a lot of the shots I'm trying to make miss when I'm, rushing or in a panic situation. The 13 in the magazine is fantastic. The fact that you can 2-hit people is very strong, but overall, if you're, have to choose between the 3, it's either long range Thorn or close range Last Word 95% of the time. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening, and if you agree, let me know. If you disagree, I would love to know why. I like to debate, and I like to know your reasoning behind things. If you have any questions, please throw them down below, and I'm going to be doing some weapon guides on some other stuff. Please, please, please don't hesitate to, grind my gears if you really think I missed something, because I want to improve and make my videos better for you. Thanks again. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out my Twitch, Mtashed, if you haven't, because I'm going to start streaming a lot more here. And that's about it. Talk to you later, friends. Bye-bye.